Oh, okay.
I never look the same twice.
I know that feeling exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
What was worse were the chairs at Tim Walls.
have surgery,
Yeah, I went and saw him and recorded
have
it.
surgery this Wednesday, so.
I was fortunate I got to sit in the chair.
Were there 10 people? So I told
No,
him,
it was pretty full.
I've got him here.
I did
I'm gonna need to be.
his thing, and I also did the turning point with Charlie Cook.
The last one we had.
I would guess that the attendance, Charlie Kirk and Tim Walsh is about the same. They both have quite a
He
bit
also
of-
has, he's.
They're pretty similar sized crowds.
So he's, you know, he's got cataracts, so he's almost blind, and he's got really bad arthritis in his pies, so he's on medication for that.
And everybody watching here, we should be starting here in a few minutes with a debate between Washoe County Commissioner Alexis Hill, and we're going to be having her go up against previous Commissioner Marsha Berkbigler. And so they're both competing for Washoe County Commissioners District 1, which covers Incline Village, Verdi, kind of the western edge of Washoe County, up against South Lake Tahoe.
Unfortunately, if somebody knows who I am, I go, uh-oh, my back is just there, I just want to know.
That's on there.
How's it going?
And there's no wind to blow it over.
Exactly, I know. I set up this balloon art.
Mine was expensive and then it got more expensive.
Yes.
Not even 3 months into it.
Bridal shower and it like promptly fell over.
So we're in just a little room at the Northtown Library.
I like spent
And
some
just
time.
one minute for one.
So this debate wasn't a lot of time between when the debate was announced and when it happened. I found out about it through another county commissioner that told me about it, but it hasn't really been publicized anywhere.
So Jeff Russell's going to be pretty good. I'm gonna turn this.
Unbelievable.
Right. Connie let me come in.
I'd be lucky if my list.
Yeah, bigger dogs don't live as long as those
Taylor,
dogs.
they got a new track out.
I got 2 loads.
Everybody kind of bowed their head just
Lots
a
of
bit.
hair.
And I went to the NAB last night, and she walked in, seen me, and left. So I don't know whether it was,
I
I'm
know,
sure
I
it
can't
was me, but I
Yeah.
think,
Well, it's just
I
open
think it was
on
that
the
bad.
next door.
But she didn't come back for her report, so I.
We're already there.
Yeah.
We're already there. We're so close.
Yeah.
So it seems like every time I see her, she just heads for the opposite direction. I pinned her down and actually went to her house after.
You going to do his house after?
Great
For
grandson's
what?
playpen that stays at my house is like this.
Hey Connie, I was just.
Is Dolly gonna be here?
Oh, and that's.
We got another meeting coming up that, let's get this one for the
There we go.
park, master plan for Paradise Park. That starts, yeah, so I got, and then they switched over to,
She may not come.
I don't know. But she
She's
come here
really-
like I will, but just have to leave early, so
Yeah,
that's.
she loves that.
Thank you for coming. Good to see you.
You guys are gonna give me a thank you. You are.
I appreciate
While you're
it.
running.
Uh-oh.
And then.
Look at it all. What do we have in this room? We have sardines?
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, want to use your, yeah.
We were in the other room.
I don't know if we want to.
We're set up.
And they said, "Where
Do you
is
want
it?"
to bump over next door, just to give you a little more?
I think we're fine here. Did you think we need the bigger one? I think this one.
Okay.
It's
More
safe.
people come, we can have-
Yeah, we'll bring some chairs over for next.
Okay, it's about 20 or so, just if you're leaving a lot.
That was over at the next meeting.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry I missed the big.
Yes, I
So
do.
it's not normally a big salad, it's serious, it's stuff like today. So you get a lot, okay, we have that.
I don't know.
Hey, it's not- okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have to go next door because we just
I'm
need
gonna go
20.
to the
And there's capacity in it. Okay, we have to go next door.
Back where we started from.
Well,
That works though.
we're a bigger crowd and we have the space today.
Where are they gonna meet, here?
You're welcome.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I like your shirt. I was knocking doors the other day and I walked up to the house and there was, they had a big sign, witches in. Oh, I thought that was really cute.
Sit here if you want to sit here.
Oh, that's cute.
I'm gonna take some pictures too.
How fun.
I'm live streaming right now.
Oh, yeah.
Already got, only got 10 people watching so far. But we'll see. Ms. Green.
Did you like the rally around?
I liked it. I was comparing what they were doing yesterday at Charlie Kirk. And then I went to that rally to compare that, just to see everything. Friendly people, nice people. Yeah, no. I don't agree with the policy.
All right, are we ready to get started? Does everybody want to get started? Because I think some of these people here, they're going to a meeting. And so we will get started, and we're on time. I'm your host, Connie McMullen, and I own Senior Spectrum newspaper, and I'm the president of the Senior Coalition, which I'm very proud to attend on a regular basis. We meet once a month, the first Friday of the month at 8:30 at Washoe Senior Center on 9th Street. If you've never been there, that's a good time to come and get engaged or Zoom in, right? All right. Both these ladies know about the seniors at Washoe County. And I'm glad to have both of you here. And we're going to start with 2 minutes or more, because there's only two of you. We usually do 2 minutes, but you know, there's, like I just said. So anyway, we want you to introduce yourself and tell us why you're running and what's important to you. And then I may ask a question, and then we're going to go to the audience, because the audience loves to ask questions. And then we'll go to maybe about, depending on how active the crowd is, we really got a lot of people attending today. We may stop like at 5 o'clock so they can ask questions of you afterward, and then towards the end you can wrap up and say goodbye and maybe address what they talked about today. Okay. So who wants to start?
I don't care. Young lady?
I'm happy to start.
All right,
Thank you
go
so
ahead.
much. I know folks are still coming in, so hopefully have a seat.
Just help yourself sit anywhere.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. I'm Alexis Hill. I am the County Commissioner for District 1, and it has been a joy to serve this district for the last 3.5 plus a few months and years. And I have been in public service my entire career. I've been committed to this community. I was born in Reno. I grew up in Sparks, and I used to walk to school and we didn't have sufficient sidewalks, and it really bothered me as a kid. And I wanted to do something about it. And that's really where my first foray into local government came, is that I did a little research as to why we didn't have the sidewalks, who's in charge of the sidewalks, and I realized that there's a lot of different avenues for communities to get sidewalks, for example. You go to your city council, a developer could be required to do them, and this is something that I wanted to get involved in. So I went away for college, I came back, and I have been working in this community ever since. I got my master's degree from UNR in public policy and public administration. And I have worked in the nonprofit sector for special needs children, as well as arts and culture. I worked at the Lake Tahoe Shakespeare Festival, And then I also have been working in local government for over a decade beyond my service as your commissioner. I've been working at the city of Sparks. I came back to my hometown to fix those sidewalks, and if you go up Vista Boulevard, you'll see that there are sidewalks up there. And I also, I was a planner at the city of Sparks, and then I went to the city of Reno. I have been doing, I did arts, culture, and events for the city of Reno. And I feel like I was a part of the Reno Renaissance that we see today. So many people flocking to come to this community, so much community pride built up from all the sculptures that you see, the activation that you've seen of our public spaces. And all the while I was watching the county commission and I thought, we could do better. And when I ran in 2020, and it was a really difficult time for our community. We were dealing with a homeless population that had doubled. And we were dealing with folks who lost all their income because they lost their jobs during COVID and they needed help. And so the county worked together with the cities of Reno and Sparks and built the sprung structure that you see at the CARES campus. But when I was talking to voters, they were telling me, we want more. We want you to do more for our homeless population. And so when I was voted into office, I got to work. I have been working very, very hard to ensure that we get folks housed in our community. We've housed over 700 people at the CARES campus, and we've reduced homelessness on the street by 40%. Is homelessness gone in our community? No. Are all struggling people taken care of? Certainly not, but it's something that the county has made a concerted effort to do. And we are now seen as a national model. I'm very proud of that work. We're about to build, well, we are building, we're about to have online 200 supportive housing units for our most vulnerable community members. We did a study, we need about 1,000 more units online, and so that's something I'm going to be working on. What's so great about Medicare and Social Security is that once these folks get in these permanent supportive housing units, they can use their government benefits to sustain them in there. And this is for folks who can't work. These are for seniors. Half of the population at the CARES campus is over the age of 55. They have some sort of disability or some sort of behavioral health issue. And so it's up to us to support these vulnerable community members. But I wasn't just working on that while I was your county commissioner. I was working on making sure that I could support our youth who have mental illness or behavioral health issues. There's no inpatient beds for our vulnerable youth in our community, and we're about to have 92 beds online in 2026 for our youth. And so the county wants to be a part of our mental health and behavioral health issues. There's a lot of work to do. We still have to get beds online for our adults, but it's a great first step, and that's the leadership that you should expect from me in this county is when we see a problem, we're gonna do something to fix it. I've been supporting working families. I'm a working mom. I have a almost 3-year-old, and when I had Zora, I had a really difficult time finding childcare, and I didn't want anyone else to face that. So we opened 2 childcare facilities with the Boys and Girls Club, one for our foster families, because foster families told us the biggest issue that they have when they want to take on a child is that they don't have the childcare. And so we said, we'll provide that for you. So we have that care facility as well as the county's, we have a facility for county employees to create an incentive to get the best workers at Washoe County to serve you, all of you. That's our job, is public service every day. And so I think that there's a lot of opportunities about what we can do in the future. I've been working, as I told you, on the CARES campus for so long, and we had our Welcome Center ribbon cutting just a few months ago. And I remember when we originally allocated the funds for that when I first got on the board, and that just shows you how long it takes to get projects online at Washoe, in government. And so there are a lot of things that we've got in the queue. How can we connect trails down here in the valley? How can we connect trails up at Lake Tahoe? When I started as a county commissioner, I wanted to expand our library services. We did not have library services at night. and on the weekend, and that was something I was committed to doing for our community members. So we hired 36 librarians that first fiscal year. We've also added additional sheriff deputies every fiscal year that I've been on the county board, and they serve all of us, and they also serve folks who work or who are in our detention facility. And so I think that I hope to have a lot of conversation about the things that we can improve at Washoe County, questions you may have for us, but I think that we, over the last 3.5+ years, have made a large dent in many of the issues, and I plan to continue working on them just like I did when I worked at the City of Sparks and the City of Reno and for our nonprofit community, because I love this place, and I hope I have the honor to continue to serve you, so thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Marsha Berkbigler, and I'm running for Washoe County Commission District 1. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I am 74, and I am the mother of 7 children. I have 14 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren. Fortunately, they're not all biologically mine, but I claim them all anyway. I had something to do with raising all of them. So when I married my husband, he had 5 young children, and I had 2 little ones. And so we raised our children together, and so therefore they're all mine. They all went to school here, all except one graduated from Reno High School. And a couple of them went to Reno, to UNR. The youngest one is right now is about 3/4 of the way through her doctorate in public policy. So, you know, we raised a lot of children. I worked full-time all the time. We were raising them. They all grew up to be really nice people. Nobody ever built a bomb in a garage anywhere, which I think is a real step in the right direction for many of us in this day and age. And they're pretty wonderful kids. They really liked living in this community because they had access to so much to do. Our children were active in tennis, they were active in swimming, they were active in all kinds of sports at school, and they really enjoyed living here. I wish they all still lived here. Because of their careers that were spread all over the country now, and I actually have one left living here in Reno, the rest are in. One is in Denver, 3 are in Minneapolis, and one is in Memphis, and one is in, 2 are in Denver, so that covers all 7 of them. At any rate, my background is government affairs. I started in government affairs when I was a little kid, I guess. I started arguing politics with my father when I was 9. I grew up in politics. My father was a union steward for the Teamsters in Flint, Michigan in the 50s, and we relocated here to Reno because he was a professional dough mixer. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's a person who puts the recipes together and makes bread. And he was a professional dough mixer, and he went to work for Welch's Bakery, so we relocated here in Reno in 1959. And so I graduated from Sparks High also. Grew up in the 60s in Sparks. We had sidewalks where I lived. But maybe that's because I was in town. You were a little further out, I think. But we had sidewalks where I lived. But I grew up in the city of Sparks. Graduated from Sparks High School, and as I said, went to UNR, and then got my degree in marketing and business management. I got my degree in California, but at Coast College, California Coast College. So. But my background in Nevada, I relocated back to Nevada after college, and I relocated back here and went to work at the legislature, and I represented all kinds of businesses. I worked for the mining industry, I worked for the doctors, I worked for engineering, I worked for telecommunications. I kind of worked across the board and did all kinds of government relations. I'm also a contract negotiator, a certified contract negotiator. So I have that in my back pocket that I carry with me at all times and do a lot of that now. In theory, I'm retired. In theory. I'm not really good at retiring. I've retired 3 times and I'm not good at it. Principally because I love this community and I love to work here. And I love getting to know the people and working with the people. And so that's why after people started calling me saying, please come back, because there's not enough transparency, there's not enough work going on with the people, where they're not listening to what the people want. And so we would love to have you come back and relook at this. And so I spent some time looking into it and decided that I would come back and run one more time. I did serve 8 years. I was elected in November of 2012, served 2013 through 2020 at the commission. During that time, the very first thing I did for the commission for the county when I first got elected was they asked me, because I am a contract negotiator, if I would sit down and negotiate the contract with the people who owned Aces Baseball Stadium. It had been playing baseball for 7 years and had never paid its taxes. And that was because of some negotiated deal that was set up between the mayor at that time and the owners of the baseball stadium. And so they asked me if I would go in and negotiate a deal, which I did. I ended up sitting down with their lawyers and our lawyers, and we came out with a deal. What he wanted from us was he wanted the county to give him $500,000 a year out of its general fund, just as the city of Reno gives them $1 million a year out of their general fund. And that's what he wanted from this community for his baseball stadium. And I very kindly said, you know, you're a multimillionaire, maybe a billionaire, and I'm just a lowly county commissioner, but if I took that deal back to my constituents, they'd run me out of town on a rail. And so let me tell you what I offered him. And he finally ultimately accepted it. I offered him the opportunity to pay all of his back taxes and to sign an agreement with the county treasurer that he would pay all of his future taxes without any question. And for that, we the county would agree to set aside that small portion of the county taxes that would come from them. We would set that aside to the baseball stadium authority, so that if they needed new lights, we were contributing. So it was part of the community's contributing. The city of Reno doesn't do that. They kept their portion of the taxes. The school district doesn't do that. They kept their portion of the taxes, but it was beneficial to the county to do that. And it gave him incentive to agree. And so we signed an agreement, and I'm pleased to see that he is paying his taxes constantly. I also was asked to negotiate a settlement on behalf of Incline Village on some property tax issues, and so I did that also. We worked that out. It was paid back. Had the county paid it, when the old assessor, not Mr. Commissioner Mike Clark, who's sitting here, was assessor at that time, but he wasn't the assessor who did this. This was done 16 years before Mike and I ever came into the picture. If the county had negotiated it when it was first, settled it when it was first challenged, it would have cost the taxpayers in Washoe County $40,000. Because they litigated it for years and years and years. Who knows how much it actually cost us in legal fees? Your dollars, because it was taxpayer dollars that were paying this. But what we ended up having to settle on Incline Village and Crystal Bay was $43 million. And that might answer the question of why are you running? Because the budget needs more attention than it's getting. We are spending money on things that we probably shouldn't be spending taxpayer dollars on without some serious discussion on it. And so because of that, I decided that I have all this background, I have all this experience, I have all this knowledge. I did a great job for the county commission, and I don't think anybody is going to argue with you about that. And I will continue to do a great job if I'm lucky enough to get your support. Seniors are my hot issue. They always were, they always will be. I are one, so I figure since I are one, I should be really concerned. I was concerned about them before I was one, but I just want to say that I think this is such an important issue. Seniors are way too important for us here in this community, and they aren't getting enough attention. And so for that, I thank you for your time, and I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Ask the first question, and so on behalf of the Senior Coalition, I'm a former strategic planner for the state for 22 years, and I know it's coming. By the time 2030 rolls around, there'll be as many, if not more, seniors than there are teenagers nationwide. Washoe County will be no different, and in Washoe County, we have an affordable housing shortage. People can't pay their bills, they can't stay in their homes. Aging in place is not an option for a lot of people who are on fixed income. So what do you plan to do to help this very critical group who may end up filling the CARES campus even more?
Do you want me to go first, or?
Who wants to go first?
Doesn't matter, I'll go first.
Okay.
So when I was on the commission, we set up a affordable housing trust fund. purpose of the trust fund initially was that it would be funded by donations from public businesses, companies, and it would also be funded by federal money and some state money. And the purpose in the funding would have been this: to set up a fund so that developers who are building apartments and building houses could get their fees, some of their fees waived, a lot of their fees waived. Because, you know, when a developer goes in to build a house or to build a subdivision, there's all these fees that they have to pay up front before they even sell the house or before they move somebody into them. So the purpose in the Affordable Trust Fund was to set up a fund to allow those developers to get their fees paid. But here was the catch. They had to agree, and the percentage that we set at that time was 10%. We were just starting it out. It could be higher than that. I doubt that it would ever be lower than that. I think we all agreed at the time, all the commissioners agreed at the time, that 10% was a fair number. But what they would be required to do is designate 10% of their development, whether it was apartments, whether it was tiny homes, whether it was houses, 10% of their development would be set aside for the purposes of people at fixed incomes. That's seniors, that's veterans, that's people who are what we like to call the working poor, those people who work for a living, but maybe they make minimum wage, or maybe they make, you know, maybe they have, like me, 6 children, or whatever it is, I have 7 children. Maybe they have that many children and they can't afford to live in the economic times we're living in right now. And so that's what it was originally set up to do. I lost to Ms. Hill in November of 2020, and so it was never funded because we actually put it together. We started putting it together towards the end of 2019. COVID then visited us, and that sort of put a lot of stuff on the back burner. But it never was funded. It actually ended up getting some funding. And I believe they've built 2, or they are in the process of building, and Ms. Hill may be able to answer this more than I can. They are in the process of building 2 facilities. One is senior facility only that is not on the CARES campus, and one is facility on the CARES campus. So, which is great. The only and yes, don't get me wrong, I think the CARES campus is really a good deal. I don't think we can survive in this economic time with the homeless situation we're dealing with if we don't deal with the CARES, if we don't have something like the CARES campus. We cannot, according to the courts, we cannot pick people who are vagrants living on the street up unless we have a bed to take them to. And that's the purpose of the CARES campus serves. One of many, but that's certainly the purpose that it serves. But one thing we have to look at is affordable housing for people who have no intention and no desire to ever live on the CARES campus. So, I mean, and that is an important issue for, just as you talked about, those seniors who are losing their homes because the economy is so bad that they can't afford to pay their taxes, or they can't afford to stay in their house. They've got to look somewhere else and go somewhere else. I can't tell you, I talk to people, I'm out walking every day. I talk to people every single day. And many of the people that I talk to say the same thing. I can't afford to pay my taxes if the taxes keep going up. And that is an issue of concern. We had so much money come into us from the opioid settlement, the ARPA, and to a lesser degree, SLRPA. I'll let you tell them what that all means. SLRPA is a state designation, a pile of money that had to do with recovery from COVID. ARPA is a federal designation that had to do with recovery from COVID. And so those funds came in. That trust fund should have been funded 100% with millions of dollars to start the process of getting affordable housing in the community, not just on the CARES campus. Not to say that we don't have to address the homeless issue. Please don't think I'm saying that. I'm saying we have people who are not homeless yet, who are gonna be homeless if we don't address this affordable housing issue. And so that's where I would start. I think there's several other things that will need to be done as we look at that. As we build apartments, we've got to look at how they get around the community. So the busing service, I think, is going to be a big issue because seniors, a lot of seniors are going to be losing access to their cars. So how are they going to get around the community? So we've got to really address RTC and the busing issues also. So I think there are a number of issues, but certainly, in my opinion, that would be where I would hit the ground running on that issue of affordable housing and the trust fund, if I'm elected.
Thank you. I briefly told all of you about the permanent supportive housing that I am hoping to get online. We need 1,000 more units. We have 200 units coming online in 2026. So we have a lot of work to do. I had also told you that half of the folks who are in the CARES campus are seniors, are over the age of 55. These are our most vulnerable community members, and the county must meet our most vulnerable community members and get them housed, so they are not dying on the street and they're not dying in the CARES campus. That is our #1 priority. But we can chew gum and walk at the same time. So we can also get workforce housing online, and we can get other housing types online. So the county owns a lot of property throughout this community through various reasons that we've accumulated it, and the staff have put together a property plan to see for the board to see how we can invest in our properties and put housing there, as well as recreation facilities. So we can leverage government property for that common good. That's something that will come before the county probably next year. Additionally, we did fund the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, actually 2 different times the county commission has, and we have funded 3 different projects that will be coming online. These projects, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is for folks only for 0 to 30 AMI. So that is your extremely low income people. You cannot get a tax write-off if you give to the county's Affordable Housing Trust Fund, if we start going into the 40% AMI or 60% AMI, or those workforce housing pieces. So though that Affordable Housing Trust Fund is serving our most vulnerable community members, and it will continue to do so. I'm so glad that my opponent is a big advocate of inclusionary zoning. That's something that I believe in, and something we've actually done at Lake Tahoe. We have added requirements that if you're going to build certain properties, you must have some sort of deed restricted housing, and 10% is what we landed on for Lake Tahoe. That went before the Board of County Commissioners at, I think it was our last strategic planning meeting, and the board didn't have quite an appetite to do that stick, really. It's less of a carrot and it's more of a requirement. I spoke openly in that meeting that I did want to see us do that, so I'm glad that there are more people that are advocating for that, and we should require that at Washoe County, and hopefully the Board of County Commissioners want to see that happen. Additionally, I think that we really need to see how we meet the landlords where they're at. I had a really great meeting with our realtors and some of people who represent landlords in this community about how we get people housed in current housing stock. How do you take a voucher? How will you take a government voucher? What does the county need to do to help you, to support you as a landlord? And the landlords are telling us, we don't want our properties destroyed, obviously, and we need someone checking in on these people. And what we've seen, we've done a pilot program for tenancy support. So after you leave the CARES campus, you have a caseworker who follows you to your new place. And of the 700 people we've housed, we did a small pilot of those folks, and 98% of those folks who had tenancy support stayed in their house. And it just shows we all need a mommy. I have a mommy, I am a mommy, and many people do not have a family member to support them. And so it's up to us to check on people. Have you paid your rent? Are you going to the doctor? Do you know that there's an AA down the street? You can meet them there. And so there are a lot of great strategies. We just need the money. Sadly, we are a low property tax state, so it's already low, and then your property depreciates. So the only way to ensure that we can sustain these revenues is by growing as a community, which, as all of you know, there's a lot of resistance to that because people really enjoy the quality of life that they have in this small community in Washoe County. So I think it's finding a balance. I think it's advocating for the county at the legislature to see how we can find additional revenues to serve people, meet people where they're at. And so I look forward to working on that too. Additionally, I know that there are nonprofits in town that we have funded through ARPA dollars who are helping seniors who have an increase in rent and keeping them in place. I understand that no one wants to go to the CARES campus. Sadly, that's not a choice. People end up there, either law enforcement takes them there or they must go there because they are on the street. So we need to get them housed, and that is a priority of mine, and I think you can see from my track record of being here just for 3.5 years that I will move on it. I work for you every day. It's a grind. It's not easy to get this stuff done. You can't yell into the void every meeting and hope that someone will do your bidding. You have to get in there and fight for your programs, make relationships with the different jurisdictions, and that's what I do. And so I look forward to just continuing to push that boulder up the hill for you.
Okay, we're gonna go to the audience. Okay, Mac, you were first.
Commissioner Hill, good afternoon. There's a development that was in the process of being done up on Far Road. About 450 units. A portion of it was going to be affordable housing for seniors. A neat location where you would, use all these cameras. I'm not that important, believe me. And the developer, in an area, and it's an unusual project because it's half in the city of Reno and half in the county. This developer came in and offered some low-cost apartment rental in the unit, about 10%, I believe, or something in that, close to that, was willing to also offer to put a couple $1 million into the sewer that was needed, the new water system that was needed up there. And looked like it was going somewhere because you also have the community college up there, you have PAR, you have the Desert Research, and some other facilities up there that could use without commuting. And unfortunately, it went to it went okay with the city, they okayed it. It went to the county, and it was proposed, and development couldn't go through because it was 3 against 2 for. You were one of the ones that was against it. They also went ahead and proposed to the sheriff's department if they would move their shooting range. He was willing to give about $500,000 to help on that because it was also being a hindrance to the Panther Valley area that had been putting restrictions as far as noise and everything on it. And I'm just wondering why you went against that project.
Well, thank you, Mac, for the question, and I don't think you portrayed that correctly, so let me just make sure that that's correct. What happened is this developer needs an easement through county property. The property is our public safety center, so it's where our police, our fire agencies train. And so having a road go through that center is obviously a very serious consideration because very few places in the county now that you can relocate a place where they're doing bombs, when they're shooting guns, when they're doing all the things that they need to do to train. And so we looked at the staff, not the commissioners, looked at different possibilities for the road to see how we could support them. The road was required because if the developer got over a certain amount of units, the city of Reno required that they have a secondary access easement road. So they're already allowed today to develop what they want to develop without the county, first of all. I want to make that clear. This came to the county commission. What do we want to do with this easement? Obviously, there's consternation. Having a road go through a public safety center that we don't know where we could relocate it if we need to. We don't know how that road would look, how often it would be used. There's a lot of considerations. We asked for the developer to come back to us with things that we want to see. One of them being in writing, because he promised, he said, I'm not going to increase the rent on my tenants. And we said, great, I'm a person that really loves to trust because I want to believe that we're all on the same team, but I want to verify too, I want it in writing. we still haven't seen this come back before the board, and we're waiting for him to come back. No one said no. I just want to make that clear. We said, we like some things in writing. We have some concerns about using your property, my property, for a secondary access, and does that make sense for the county? So just waiting to hear back, and there is no final no.
Thank you.
Yes?
We're gonna go to this gentleman here. Go ahead.
Yeah, just more of just a curiosity question. I was up at the Incline Village get-together a couple months ago, and since then, or even prior to this is a homeless question answered, or issue question. I heard up there, so over the last few months, even before that meeting, I have become more interested in the homelessness issue here in the area. And at that meeting, the comment was made by the incumbent that the amount of money spent on homelessness, and I remember this figure very distinctly, was $14 million. And at that time, I didn't say anything, and I said, I wonder if that's the real number. I think it's probably higher than that, but I don't know. So my question is that the correct number that we're spending on homelessness is $14 million, or is it higher than that?
I mean, I do think that the other person who is sitting here should also answer questions, but I'm happy to answer questions. So yes, we do spend about that every year on the operations of the CARES campus. We did spend more than that to build the CARES campus. I think there's a lot of confusion in the community about that. But yes, that is about the budget of managing our homeless population. It's about $68 a night to stay at the CARES campus when they did the breakdown. This is, you can't find a hotel room it's that cheap in our town. If you go to the hospital, it's in the $1,200, $1,500 range a night. If you go to the jail, it's over $500 a night. We absolutely need that service. Not only is it fiscally conservative to have a CARES campus, especially if we can get people housed, it is the moral thing to do for people who are struggling in our community.
Okay, so it is 14, it's not more, it's not like 40.
It's around there. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's around that. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I was just curious, I don't mean anything negative.
So let me comment on that also. It may be in the $1 billion budget that they just approved. It's significantly more than 14 million. If you look at the whole operation of CARES campus, maybe the housing portion of it is 14 million. But the thing you've got to remember about government budgets, and they're all like this, and I've been doing this my whole career. Government budgets are all like this. Never do you pick up a government budget and say, well, I want to know exactly how much money we spend on traffic. And you go to one tranche and it says, okay, this is all the money that's spent on traffic. That is not the way government budgets work. So you need to take that county budget and you need to count all the tranches that are accrued to the CARES campus. And in this particular $1 billion budget, it exceeds $50 million. Now, there are some things in there that shouldn't be accrued to that. And I'll give you just one example that several people have asked me about this. Just one example. So they signed a contract with a Mr. Grant Denton, I believe is his name, and he takes care of the safe camp inside of the CARES campus. Great place from what I understand, has some positive feedbacks of people who are getting themselves off drugs or getting themselves off alcohol, whatever. I personally have not, I'm acquainted with Mr. Denton, but I personally have not had a long conversation with him about this, but that's the feedback that I've gotten from county staff, that it's an effective thing. But part of that contract, which was over $1 million, that they signed with Mr. Grant Denton was for the karma boxes. The karma boxes have nothing to do with the CARES campus. The karma boxes, you've probably seen them. There's a big one right outside of St. Mary's, and they're all over the place, all over the city. And those karma boxes are so that we citizens who can afford to can take and put toilet paper, canned goods, whatever in there, so that people who are living at or below the poverty line can grocery shop on some level in those karma boxes. Everything's not there. Obviously, fresh food and vegetables and all of that kind of stuff, you're not gonna see in there, but you are gonna see canned goods. I put stuff in the one at St. Mary's all the time. And they get used by citizens, local citizens. Yeah, they get used by homeless who are living on the streets also. I don't deny that. But the point I'm making here is when you look at the budget and you look at the concept of the contract with Mr. Denton, a big chunk of that, yes, is accrued to the CARES campus, but part of it isn't. And that's part of the problem with this budget. And that's part of the problem with saying, well, we only spend X number of dollars, because it's a broader picture than just the amount we spend for housing. And that is the problem with this whole thing. It's a much broader picture. I don't know exactly what the number is, but I know enough about government budgets that when I sat down with that $1 billion budget, I accrued 50 million. I think 50.1.2 million is what I could see is actually charged to the CARES campus. That's the cost. That has to be considered, the cost of what we are paying to house homeless. At the same time, in that same budget, I believe the amount that goes to the senior center is $9 million, I believe, in the same budget. That's, okay, so there are seniors on the CARES campus. They aren't the only seniors. Our seniors in this community have lived here for a long time. They've paid taxes here for a long time. They've worked in this community. They've sent their kids through our schools. They are a valuable part of our community also. And we are accruing over $50 million in various different charges to homeless, which seems to be growing exponentially. The more money we put in the homeless campus, the more homeless we have in this community. And Kate Thomas, who's an assistant county manager, will tell you that she actually had it brought to her attention, and she pitched a fit about it. Thank goodness, I'm glad she did that. She had it brought to her attention that some of the rural counties here in northern Nevada are bringing their homeless, picking their homeless off their streets and dropping them at the door of our CARES campus. So Washoe County citizens get to pay for homeless that are coming from other areas. That's what I meant when I said, as we put more money into our budget to take care of homeless, that number of homeless grows, because other counties, even California counties, are in fact bringing people over here. We know for a fact that's happened. We don't know if it's totally stopped. I know that Assistant County Manager Thomas really worked hard on getting it stopped. Whether she was successful or not, I don't think even she knows the answer to that. But that's what we have to look at. When we start saying, oh, well, we're only spending X number of dollars for homeless. No, look at the broad picture. We're spending infinitely more than X number of dollars. And that's the picture you've got to look at.
Well, I have to respond to that. That's completely inaccurate. My opponent is talking about a capital budget, and she's smushing it with the operating budget. Yes, there's a capital budget because we just finished the final building at the campus. That may be where she's getting her $50 million. I'm not sure. She'll have to show you where that is. But the CARES campus operates within that $16 million, $14 million range. And so I just wanted to point that out. The Karma Box project contract is only for the Safe Camp. We do not fund the Karma Boxes. That is a separate part of their nonprofit. So I'm not sure where that information is. And yes, sadly, because Washoe County has stepped up and we are the lowest barrier shelter in the state of Nevada, other counties are sending their homeless to us. That's true. I'm not denying that. And it's because the state of Nevada does not take care of its most vulnerable people. They're not requiring these other counties to have low barrier shelters. When we talk to these other counties, they say, well, we've got churches. Okay, well, the church won't accept everyone. The church can kick people out if they don't follow their program. And so it is a problem. And so what we've done is we've started collecting the information of people as they come into the campus and where they're from. We're not going to turn them away. That's a wrong thing to do. It's wrong for people to be shipped here from Fernley and Fallon and Carson City. That is wrong as well, because that is their hometowns. They deserve to get into recovery or the help that they need in their hometowns. But we don't have a law right now that requires any community over a certain population size to have a low barrier shelter. It's something that I think we need to be pushing for, something that should be required. We have alerted the governor about this, and that's what I mean of fighting for Washoe County when we go to the state legislature, because we are a Dillon's Law state. We cannot tax on our own. We cannot even create laws on our own without the authority of the state. And so it's very important that the state understand that Washoe County is caring for these vulnerable people, and everyone else needs to step up, or the state of Nevada needs to support us in what we do. So I honestly think that it's a low percentage. We'll see what it is when the staff give us the data. We're waiting on that. But it's something that we need to continue to work on at Washoe County.
So just one small response. And it doesn't really matter whether it is operations budget or it's capital budget, it's still your tax dollars.
Right.
Still your tax dollars that are paying for it. And the problem is not that we're spending money to take care of homeless people from another state. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the problem is it's your tax dollars, and where's the transparency to lay it open before the people who come before the commission, or even just open to an open general conversation? Where's the transparency? And we're not seeing that.
Okay, this gentleman first, and then we'll go to you after him. Thank you.
Let's see here. My question is with regards to County Manager Eric Brown. County Manager Brown's history right now is a couple of years ago, his wife was pulled over for DUI and not prosecuted. And she, on the body camera, brought up her husband's name multiple times. Nothing happened to her for DUI. She's arguably very drunk in the video. County Manager Brown, with regards to the elections, 2022, we didn't have a registrar of voters. Right now, we don't have a registrar of voters. The latest registrar of voters, based on the text message that County Manager Brown sent, County Manager Brown said that she was stressed out. That seems like divulging some mental health issues to the public. There seems to be a pattern of missing registrars of voters. There seems to be a pattern of problems, bumps, hiccups in our voting system. Assembly District 40 candidates were left off of the sample ballot. There are multiple other issues with County Manager Brown talking about him being an Olympian, yet he wasn't an Olympian. So I would say, from my perspective, there's issues of moral turpitude with this gentleman. Are those issues that the county commissioner should look at? What is your opinion on County Manager Brown? Should we keep him? Should we let him go? Should things continue as they are? For both of you, thank you.
I don't feel comfortable talking about a personnel matter. I will tell you, we have an incredible election staff. While I have been your county commissioner, I doubled the election staff because we realized we didn't have enough staff to perform the required duties of a 21st century election office, which also includes most of our voters using mail-in ballots, bringing us ballots, putting ballots in the mail. We didn't have enough scanners. We didn't have enough people to process it. We didn't have enough people to talk to the community. Now we have an office that has doubled in size, and even with the registrar gone, which I hope that she's doing well and wish the best for her, we are going to perform an amazing election. I have no question of it. I plan to certify the election. And so I appreciate you bringing up this opportunity for me to give our registrar of voters and the staff a lot of kudos. And I can't wait to see how they execute when we start to get our ballots in the mail next week. So thank you.
Now, the personnel issue is important, because if you've got issues of moral turpitude, and those are published, whether they're on video or they're being published by, say, Pecan Press or Our Town Reno or other outlets that have published these issues, I don't think that's really a personnel issue when it's the top county manager. And the duty and the obligation of the county commissioners is to oversee the county manager that oversees the rest of the county. So I really wish there was more of an answer than that. Thank you.
So I'll be happy to kind of contribute a little bit. I would not characterize whether or not Mr. Brown should stay there or go. I would also say that lots of us have had family members who got drunk driving tickets. And I have a grandson who just got one not too long ago, and he didn't go to jail either. probably deserved it, but he didn't. Not because he's my grandson. But I think that is not a fair assessment of whether or not Mr. Brown is doing a capable job. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Brown is here because of me. So when I was commissioner before, and I like to be totally above board on this, I used to work for him. When he was the vice president of operations for charter, and I was the vice president of communications for the Western Division. He managed the Western Division. I did all of his government affairs and communications work. So when John Slaughter decided to step down, that was a real sad thing because John was fabulous. And when John decided to step down, the county commissioners hired a headhunter to go look, and that headhunter went around and talked to all of us, and she said, do you happen to know anybody who would fill the bill for what we're looking for? And I said, yeah, I happen to know 3 people I think are qualified to do that. Mr. Brown was one of those people. He came and he ultimately got hired. So, you know, I think that there are some issues that need to be addressed, but here's what I would say about the voter registrar's office, and here's what concerns me. So I would tell you that in fairness to the previous commission, and you probably wouldn't know this necessarily because it probably hasn't been discussed, but in fairness to the previous commission, the voter registrar, the person who was the voter registrar for the 2020 election is the one who depleted the staff. And then she did step down for stress, and she had been with the county a long period of time. And so she has full PERS retirement. I believe she'd been with the county 22 years, I think, something like that. But the last 2 voter registrars who left worried me a great deal. Jamie Rodriguez was a lobbyist, probably was never really qualified to be voter registrar, but a bright, capable lady that Mr. Brown, who the voter registrar reports directly to him, Mr. Brown felt that she was qualified, and so Mr. Brown decided to put her in, and Mr. Brown reports directly to the commissioners. This is not, as I've previously heard indicated, a strong county manager county where the county manager gets to say what happens. That county manager works for the commissioners. The commissioners may hire, fire, discipline, not give them a $30,000 bonus. They can do anything they want with the county manager because he reports to them. The only other position that reports directly to them is the fire chief, because the county commission also sits as the fire board. That's the way it works in Nevada because most of the counties comply with what's set up for the state law. My concern about these last 2 commissioners, these last 2 voter registrars, Jamie Rodriguez, who I knew quite well, Carrie Ann, I know, they're never going to work in Nevada in their chosen profession again because they have been asked to step down for stress. Now, maybe they are stressed, but then you know what? They should have had the opportunity to stand before the county commission and say publicly, I'm getting reports, I'm getting calls to my home, I'm getting whatever. I asked our sheriff, I said, tell me. I said, it's now a state law, I know, but it's a federal law and has been for a long time to threaten, intimidate, or harass election workers. And it doesn't really matter who's doing that. It's a federal felony to do that. So why haven't these reports been filed with the sheriff? And I asked him, Darren, point blank, tell me, how many reports have been filed with you regarding threats and harassment against our election operatives? And he said, none. Not one. Not questions have been brought up. Not one complaint is filed. And I understand, and frankly, I understand Alexis's position here because this is, in fact, a personnel matter. And as a government employee, she is required not to speak of personnel matters outside. And whether you like it or not, when you're a commissioner, you're technically a government employee. So I would think, as much as I love you, I would think that's a kind of a putting her on the spot question and really probably not fair to her. I'm not a government employee. I'm a candidate. And I happen to know all the players. So I have an opinion and I can give you my opinion, and that's what I've just done. I am concerned about those 2 women and whether or not those 2 women will ever work in Nevada again. I know that Jamie Rodriguez has looked and has attempted to get a couple of positions as a government affairs consultant, as a lobbyist, and she's been turned down. She's not being seriously considered. I don't know why, But it doesn't really matter what I know, does it? It matters that right now, her chosen profession is something she can't work in Nevada because she had to step down for stress. And no reports were filed with the sheriff, so nothing could be done about those threats of stress. And that's what worries me about what's going on with the voter registrar. That's just one of several, but that's the one that worries me about this much. Okay.
Well, I just had a question, and I don't want to be filmed, so turn it off. I don't want to be filmed by anybody. I don't consent. Thank you, sir.
You don't need to consent. I'll be clear.
Thank you,
Come on,
sir.
guys.
I don't want
I'm not
to
gonna
be
argue
filmed.
with you.
Good.
I'll
We are
treat
gonna be
me,
civil
treat
to
me
each other.
poorly, and I will treat you poorly.
I'm asking you, sir, not to film me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sit down,
Show
thank
her
you.
some courtesy.
We can respect each other, okay?
Okay. ahead.
My question is for the former commissioner, and the question I have is, you've described between the two of you a huge disparity in the budget for the CARES campus and the treatment and care of the homeless, and I understand there are probably a variety of different parts of the county budget, but one is 14 million. And then Ms. Berkbigler, you quoted 50 million. Can you tell us specifically, apart from the 14 million we seem to agree on for the CARES campus, where the balance of that many millions and what it's allocated for, so we have a better understanding of what you're saying?
Well, I think you'd have to look at the budget. I don't, off the top of my head, know what everyone are allocated. for.
Right, but you
'Cause I
should
didn't
be
memorize it.
able to,
But
if
I
you're
can
going
tell
to
you-
quote $50 million, shouldn't you be able to?
So I can tell you that the 14 million that I saw is staffing related. It's staffing related only. So it's $14 million in county staff to manage the CARES campus. Now, what else is included in that? The senior center at 9th Street is there. I've been there several times and talking with some, because I have several friends who go to the senior center on a routine basis, so I actually go to see some of them. But I went for the senior breakfast. I've talked to staff who were there, who are volunteering over there, and they say that on every single day, a minimum of 30% of the people who are now coming into the senior center are homeless and coming largely from the CARES campus. And I asked the question, can you tell me how they get here? And and basically what this staff person told me was, I'm not at liberty to tell you that. So I know that that's part of what we're seeing in that $50 million is part of the money that is being accrued for taking care and feeding them is money that should be paid to the senior center, because a lot of those people come over for one meal. As you probably know, or maybe you don't, the county provides one meal a day to seniors they fix one meal a day to seniors. And then quarterly they do breakfast meeting. But when I was with the commission, we did breakfast meetings every week, as well as one meal a day. That's the only food that many seniors are gonna get in their single day. Now, maybe that's the only food that many seniors who are living on the CARES campus are getting also. But I think the point is that there are all kinds of little things like this that are used.
So can you
one of-
quantify those?
Yeah, one of the things is sewer. What are they doing with getting the sewer on and off, the sewer disposal, the cleaning the bathrooms on and off the campus? That's a charge that's not included in that 14 million, because that's not staff that's doing that. That's a contract. And we have a number of contracts like that to provide those kinds of services. There is a contract for the security people. They're not employees. Well, at least they weren't employees. And I don't think in this budget, I didn't see them as employees in this budget. They're contracted. That's another charge that goes to the CARES campus. And there's a lot of contractual stuff like that goes to the CARES campus. So again, what I'd say is, yeah, it may be only 14 million in specific staffing operations, but it's infinitely more than that, and it's all your tax dollars that are paying it, and you have a right to know what's that going. Maybe, just maybe, we can get a cheaper deal if we put it out to bid instead of hiring somebody who is a friend of somebody on staff. I happen to know that that happens. It happened when I was there. We did everything we could to stop it. We weren't successful all the time, but the commissioners are very good at stopping things like that. And so that's the kind of thing that needs to be looked at. And that's why I say, here's the bottom line for me. If I'm elected, one of the very first things we're going to do is a full-blown forensic audit of the CARES campus.
Excellent.
And let me tell you something about Incline Village. You were talking about being in Incline Village. Let me tell you something about Incline Village. They just did a full-blown audit of IVGID. IVGID is the Incline Village, Crystal Bay General Improvement District, basically the government for the Washoe County portion of the lake. They just did a full forensic audit. They've not ever done one before. You know what they found? 18 definite concerns about fraud. 18 items, 25 potential fraud. 18 of them were very full on. This is a problem. They found that 25 of the employees have their own credit cards that IVGID pays for. We don't know the answer to that on the CARES campus. We have no idea if any of that's going on, because even the commissioners, when Mike Clark has asked to get information, even Mike Clark hasn't been given information. And that is a concern, because it's my tax dollars too, just like it's yours. Not that the CARES campus needs to go away. It does not. But we need to be more concerned about what we're doing with our money. And that means the commission needs to be more concerned about what they're doing with our money. Remember, governments don't have money, people do. And you pay it to the government in the form of taxes and fees. They're supposed to be providing services to your benefit. So you tell me whether or not a county staff person who has a friend who owns the sewer dumping that goes and cleans out toilets, and they get the contract. I don't know if that happened in this case, but I can guarantee you it has happened on the county before, because we caught it time and time again when I was a commissioner over the 8 years.
I must correct this. Part of that budget is all of our outside contractors. We have gone out to bid for VOA. We have gone out to bid for Karma Box, who are outside contractors. It includes our city staff or our county staff as well. I think it's really important that we recognize that creating a narrative around false information is not helpful, and kind of demonizing the CARES campus as the boogeyman in our community when we're actually helping and have stood up and done something in that. The first time ever in our community, when before we ignored it as a county. I think that that's wrong. Additionally, I think that it's really important to consider that we do audits. We have an audit committee. I'm actually the alternate on the audit committee. The county is undergoing an audit for the CARES campus to do an effectiveness audit to see how are we meeting other benchmarks for other communities to get people housed. And we have rules and procedures. So we're not giving credit cards to all of our caseworkers. That's not what we're doing at the county. We're trying to run a really great government operation. That's why we have an audit committee, because we know one of these departments is going to be audited every year. We have several departments that are audited. And so it's just checks and balances. That's what we have in government, and there isn't anything nefarious happening. It's just us providing services, and it is a service to you to support our most vulnerable people. We have fewer people on the street. We have fewer people on the river. It's a service to our community to ensure that tourists want to come here. They want to spend their money in our community, so we have lower taxes. That is a service. And again, not only is it the right moral thing to do, it is actually the fiscally conservative thing that we are doing in Washoe County.
All right, so there's a lady back there, but I just wanted to add something to what was said here. It's true that there was people from the CARES campus coming to the senior center, because I'm still on the advisory board. But we set up with the suggestion of one of our members, a person at the front that takes everybody's licenses to their identity, and it has really cut down on that occurrence. Plus with that special grand opening that happened. So that is starting to adjust itself, finally. Okay, this lady had her hand up, and then I guess we'll go to you after her, and then you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, in December of 23, and then in and then it came back again in April of '24. The amount of money that could be spent was $100,000 without having to go in front of the commissioners and ask if they could spend it. It went up to $300,000. That is a 200% increase. Do you think, what are your thoughts on that? Have you ever seen anything go up 200%? My social security didn't go up 200%.
Neither did mine. Well, so what are you, and you probably can answer this because you sit there, but what, are you talking about the amount of money the commissioners can spend, or the amount of money
the
that
manager can spend?
the manager can spend? So, it was $100,000, it was $50,000 when I got elected, and we upped it to 100, I thought we upped it to 150,000, but maybe we upped it to 100,000, because costs go up. Frankly, that's the reason. I suspect that has something to do with why it's higher now. One of the things that interests me, though, is when I was on the commission 4 years ago, commissioners were allowed $10,000 in discretionary funds, and now they're allowed $100,000 in discretionary funds. That's a huge increase. And I don't know how that happened or why it happened, and I certainly am not saying that my opponent is the reason it happened. I doubt seriously that that's true, but regardless, that's a lot of money, and once again, that's taxpayer money. And this is money that the commissioner can say, I want to spend X number of dollars on this issue. Now, there are rules, as we all know, about what it can be spent on. But still, $100,000 per commissioner, that's $500,000 of your tax dollars that are being spent on who knows what. Let me tell you what I spent my $10,000 on. I spent it on 5,000 went to, for 2 years in a row, went to Glen Duncan School, which was my alma mater. I went to Glen Duncan when I was a kid. And they did not have a greenhouse, and they needed a greenhouse. And so I donated $5,000 2 years in a row to help the children learn where food comes from and the growth of food. Those were the kinds of things we made donations to. I've looked at some of the donations. I think some of them are probably pushing the limit of what I would consider ethically correct. But that's my personal opinion, and I live with my own ethics. I don't impose them on other people. But I do still think that increase from $10,000 to $100,000 is significant. I would say, though, that in the case of Mr. Brown, it probably has more to do with the cost of the economy and what we're doing with that today. But now that I've said that, I'll...
Not to be disrespectful, but that means that he has $300,000 now to not have to be accountable for. And we know what he used part of it for, and that was to bring in an outside election group that is aligned with George Soros in order to run our local elections. Thank you for laughing. I appreciate it. It's noted. It's been noted. So you can laugh all you want.
Ladies.
I wasn't disrespectful to any of you guys. I don't appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, the elections group is not a George Soros-run group. The elections group was something that I asked if the audit committee could look at our elections office. We saw the midterm elections. There was a lot of mistakes that had been made in that office, and not enough for us to doubt the election, certainly, but there were mistakes made. And I thought, what do we need to do? How do we make this office whole? The elections group came in, they said, double your staff. They said, put in a communications person. They said, audit all of your rules and procedures and put them on paper so that when you train people and someone leaves, you've got it down. And so all of those were incredible nonpartisan recommendations that we have been actively implementing in Washoe County. As far as the signatory for the manager, I think you heard my opponent explain it well. It's just things cost more. But if things accumulate, the contracts do come still to the Board of County Commissioners. We just had 2 different agenda items, our last meeting, for contracts that exceed. So we're not trying to hide anything. We're just trying to make the ease of business happen at Washoe County, and I think that that's super important.
Well, there was Rose Strategy also was brought, and you forgot to mention them. And you know the citizens came to the commission. We laid out everything you paid $100,000 for. We gave it to you. And we have asked for you to put together a citizens advisory board that can help with the elections. But you chose not to. You chose to go to an outside group that has been noted that it is, and you just said you went to the elections group. You sought out the elections group.
No, I did not.
I thought that's what I heard you say. And when they called me to come in and speak with them, when the lady from the county called me, she indicated that a group had been created. I thought it was a group from within the county until I got there, and they gave us their business cards, and I found out that they were an outside group. So anyway, that was very big misrepresentation, and what went around, I have the slip of paper that went around associating me with an organization. I have never stood in front of the commission and said, I am representing an organization. I represent myself.
All right, so let's let her answer, and then we're gonna go to this gentleman.
We did bring an elections cab to the county commission. It was not voted on, but it was actually on an agenda. It was a way for community members to learn about the elections process and to learn about what the ROV's office does. Certainly an advisory role, not a official role. The role of the county commission to make those decisions, as well as the state of Nevada and the federal government. But yes, I just do want to make sure that.
You know what I'm
that's
talking
correct.
about.
We're gonna go to this gentleman, because we're running out of time, and then we're gonna go to her, and then we're gonna wrap up.
Okay, my question with the two are, I've been coming into the county commission meeting for almost 4 years. I have seen a significant taking of our freedom and our First Amendment rights. And I would like to have both of you let us know where you stand on our First Amendment rights. We're not allowed to bring in signs. I was threatened with arrest if I didn't sit down, or in someplace I was standing, and that is a violation of the First Amendment. I'd like to know for both of you what your stand is on our First Amendment rights and how you're going to support the people and not do something that's just for what you believe is right and against people.
Well, I believe in time, place, and manner restrictions. I believe it's the job of the county commission to get the work of the business work of you done. It is our requirement to execute contracts. It is our requirement to move projects forward. And so I believe that if you are intimidating county commissioners, if you're being aggressive with staff, if you are being threatening, I also, before I started on the board, we had a metal detector, and I know Mr. St. John, you want that to be removed. I believe that we should have a metal detector at the county commission to protect our staff, not just for commissioners, to protect the people who come and serve our community every day. We must have rules. We must have decorum. We must treat people with dignity and respect. And I believe that. I also believe that you have many different ways to speak to your government. You can come to public comment if you follow the rules. You can email me. You can call me. You can protest and you can vote, and that's coming up. That's an opportunity for you to tell the government if you're unhappy or not. And so I believe we have to follow those rules, because we are in a time where the emotions are incredibly high in this country, and where we have people who don't want to go into government service because they're frightened of how they're treated. We have registrar of voters leaving out of harassment and stress, whether or not that they reported it to the sheriff's office and it mounted to the point of being violent. That is a sign that it is scary to work in government right now. And so I feel like we've got to protect our staff. We've got to ensure that the rule of law is followed. We've got to ensure that the county business is taking place. And I feel like me being here and my opponent being here, we are showing that we are transparent, we wanna talk to people, we wanna answer your questions. I live in this community, I go to church in this community, I grocery shop, I talk to people. I wanna make sure I'm accessible and I hear you out, but I feel like it's very important that we follow the rules and that we treat people with dignity and respect, and I'd like to see that happen more often at our county commission chambers, because the attacks are incredibly personal. I try to stop them when they're directed at staff, but they're certainly directed at me a lot, which is fine. I'll take the bullets. That's the job of being on the county commission, but I think that we're all community members. We all love this place, and I believe that we can talk to each other in a better way. I believe that we can work together in a better way. And so I hope that you and I, Mr. St. John, can do that. I look forward to it, and I believe that we still can. I don't think that opportunity is missed.
So I've asked for a town hall from you for 2 years. How many town halls have you held?
I'm incredibly accessible.
How many town halls have you had? The answer is 0.
Fine. So let me respond to your question. I believe that we are representative government. That means that each of you has the right to access your government. It's interesting in Nevada because we have a biannual legislature, so it's very difficult to access your legislative representatives on a full-time basis. You can email them, you can call them. Ms. Hill is absolutely correct about that. You can. Those people don't always respond. I would say that when I was on the commission and when I left in December of 2020, there was not a metal detector there. There probably should have been a lie detector, but there wasn't one of those either. But there definitely wasn't a metal detector there. There definitely wasn't a metal detector there when I was there. When it came on, I can't tell you. I don't know.
April 21, I can tell you.
Okay, I don't know the answer to that because when I left, there wasn't one there. I know that for sure. So, but because this is a representative government, citizens have a right to come before their government and speak their mind. And you know what? Sometimes they're not nice. They weren't nice to me. Sometimes. I chaired the commission a number of times, and people were unhappy. There used to be a guy by the name of Sam Dene who came in and sang to us and played his guitar every day. We allowed him to do that. Even though that wasn't conducting the business of the county, it was a citizen who wanted to express his concerns in a specific way. There's a gentleman that comes in who always talks in poetry, and I love that. The guy is fabulous. If you haven't, I don't even know his name, but if you haven't had a chance to hear him, he's delightful. But that doesn't mean he should be stopped because he's not conducting, he's not interfering, or he might be in some people's opinion, if they don't like his poetry. I think it's good, but if they don't like his poetry, they might think that he's interrupting with the business of the county. Where are citizens going to go if they can't go to the county commission or their city council and express their opinions and express their frustrations about potholes, about, you know, the sewer system backing up when it rains, the whatever they want to talk about, and they do it all the time. I was there 8 years, and there wasn't a commission meeting that we didn't have someone there expressing frustrations and concerns about things that they thought should be done that many of the commissioners felt wasn't the responsibility of the county to handle it, and yet we addressed them. What we did in those days was we would not respond back to their questions, and I know Mr. St. John really thinks that from a legal perspective we can, the district attorney thinks from a legal perspective we can, and the county attorney is the district attorney, and I don't know about you, but when you tell your attorney no, he gets mad at you. So the county always follows the rules of the district attorney. But that being said, in the time that I was there, I would write down, as would the other commissioners, write down what the question was. And then when it came commissioners' time to talk, then we would say, staff person so-and-so, would you go and just pull this person aside and talk to them about their issues? I can't tell you the number of problems we resolved by doing that. Right. That isn't happening under this commission. And I won't tell you that it's just Ms. Hill's fault, although I think as the chairman, Ms. Hill's responsible for the conducting the meeting. So I'll give you one example of what a lack of transparency, because it looks like clearly I gotta go pick my dog up who's in the hospital. It looks like clearly we're not gonna get to a transparency question, so let me give you just one that happened, not at this meeting on Tuesday, because I was in Incline, but at the meeting before that. On the agenda was one bill, basically, one item that had, I believe, 8, 10 things on it. And in the middle, and they were all different things. They were allocations of money from ARPA. And they were all different things. In the middle of that, so it wasn't seen unless you happened to really want to be looking for it, was a request to give the Nevada Museum of Art $500,000 as what really I think is seed money for the purchase of painted rocks from Las Vegas. Now, I'm a big art person, guys. I have art all over my house. Come to my house, some of you have been there. I have art everywhere, and I like painted rocks. But it was in the middle of the thing, so the average citizen wasn't gonna see it. And that's your taxpayer dollars. You just put down $500,000 to buy art rocks, painted rocks from Las Vegas. And did you know it? Because I'll tell you, I've probably told that same story to 75 or 80 people in the last 2 weeks. Not one of them knew it. And that's the transparency problem that we're talking about. And in my opinion, as chairman, that is directly laid at the feet of the chairman. And so my answer to your question is, I totally support public comment. I totally support the public coming before the commission. And yeah, sometimes you say things that irritate the crap out of me. But you know what? So do the green shirts and the pink shirts. They come in on your side, not on the other side.
This lady wants to ask a question, this lady, and we gotta be out of here at 5:30.
I have
So,
questions.
I don't know what to do.
Do we
have a soccer
stadium question? She has been waiting.
Okay, so, and then you get your dog.
I have to go get my dog.
So, I'll forgive you if you don't wanna wrap it up. What is your question, please?
My question is, and I'm really sad that so much of this was spent on what has happened in the past, when we're talking about an upcoming election, and I want to know what's going to be happening moving forward. And
With respect to
You go first.
I have been to commissioner meetings, I have been to school board meetings, I have been to library board meetings. We can come in and we can speak our 3 minutes. That's always happened. I know as a citizen, the minute I decided I wanted to become informed about my government, I could go and find out what's going on. It's accessible. But what I want to know is going forward. Because as a citizen, I have seen the homeless situation. One of the people, we talk about seniors, this is my mom. But we have youth that are in the foster system, and I have seen the conditions of some of the group homes. We need to get some people out there auditing group homes. And they turn 18 and they end up on the street unprepared to be adults. I just found out when I took my oldest grandson to TMCC to enroll, I had my oldest grandson just started college, that the TMCC has a wonderful program, and foster kids that turn 18 can get their tuition paid for. And I'm wondering how much of this information is getting out there. The more I have worked with seniors, I find out there are resources out there. There are resources, there is help. The trouble is connecting. So I would like to ask you first, and then you. Moving forward, what are you going to do as a commissioner to make sure that the people that are in need are being able to get connected to the resources that are out there?
There's a big, and I think that's an excellent question, and I agree, moving forward, we have been beating the horse, so to speak. But moving forward, there are a lot of services that need to be done. I guess the question you really aren't asking, but I will answer is, should the county taxpayers singularly by themselves pay to take care of those children who get grown out of foster care and are on the streets?
I'm not asking for the county to pay for it,
Yeah.
I'm asking to make the connection to the
So
resources that are already
That's
there.
what, we have a department, the county has a department called, used to be called Human Services, I'm assuming it still exists as Human Services. But when Amber Howell ran Human Services, when I was there, that's one of the things that she did. She did that on a routine basis, so that she worked with all the various group homes and all the various agencies that take care of children, that take care of seniors, that take care of children who need to be in adoption. She worked with those. That's the kind of thing we need to be doing still. And again, if it's not happening, I don't know if it's happening now. Because so much focus has been on the CARES campus and the homeless that we haven't gotten
I don't
that
care
out publicly.
about the past.
I understand, I'm just saying that that's what needs to be focused on. We need to look at the broad picture. The most vulnerable in our community are not just homeless. There are also children who age out of foster home. There are also children who are abused by their parents and are left on the streets or whatever. There are also senior citizens. Thank goodness your mother has you. You're obviously taking good care of her, as I did my parents. But our parents are blessed because there are lots of people who don't. That's the focus we need to do, public-private partnerships, and continue to work with them. And that's what Amber Howell did when she was the executive director or the manager or whatever they called her position of the Human Services Agency. And that's what the Human Services Agency needs to be doing. And if I'm elected commissioner, trust me, it will be doing that again. Because that is a very, very important, most vulnerable person issue.
When I started at Washoe County, I saw a lot of people coming to public comment that felt aggrieved by the government, felt concerned that Washoe County wasn't doing what we need to do to service the community. And so what we did, we created the Washoe County Leadership Academy. And it's a 9-month academy for folks to learn what Washoe County does. Visit all of our facilities, visit the incredible places all around Washoe County. And this leadership group has done several different group projects that have highlighted these major holes in Washoe County. So the first group project that they did an arts project with the kids who are living at Jan Evans. So vulnerable kids who have behavioral issues, who have done some sort of crime or assault, and when they toured Jan Evans, they realized there's no art program for these kids. These kids have online schooling, and then they go to bed, essentially. And so that group put together that art project with Sierra Arts Foundation. So that was a great pilot project and something that the county is continuing to support. Additionally, we have our second year of the Leadership Academy. They wanted to focus on foster kids. We have 600 kids in county care. So heartbreaking, so wrong. And how can we help these kids? How can we get more people to foster? My husband and I, hopefully after the election, will be taking in a child, which is really exciting and emotional, and can't wait to do that. But I think more people have to step up and do this. But the issue is the stipend is quite low. We've upped it at the county. We've actually put in general funds to support the stipend, but also there's no support around people who do the foster care. They don't have childcare when they're losing their minds and they need to get out of the house so they don't do anything crazy. You know, they don't have reduced groceries. They don't have a restaurant that enjoys a bunch of rowdy kids. And so this group put together business partnerships for our foster families. And so that's something that I'm hoping will continue to happen. But when we're talking about keeping families together and supporting our most vulnerable people, we've seen that our Crossroads program at the county, which is a program that many people go through when they leave the CARES campus because they have some sort of addiction issue. We have a women's Crossroads and a men's Crossroads, but when you go through the program, the county has not traditionally allowed you to keep your child. So your child either is with a family member or your child is maybe even court ordered to go into foster care. What we've done is we are creating what my opponent doesn't want to tell you from the last ARPA allocation that we did. One of the major allocations that we did was to stand up a families Crossroads so that families can stay together while they go through treatment. So families are not torn apart so that more kids aren't going through foster care while they're becoming sober, so their whole family can surround them when they're becoming sober. And the testimonials that our board received during that allocation of funds was so touching because many men spoke to the commission saying, thank you. We would have loved, thank God for the Crossroads program. I'm alive today because of it, but we would have loved to keep our family together through that program. There are, I think the joyful thing about serving is that there's so many opportunities to help people and to make people's future brighter at Washoe County. But then the frustrating part is that there are so many people that fall through the crack, and there's so much more work to be done. And so what I will tell you on the foster care system, our legislature has said that up to the age, I think it's 22, you can either get, you can collect your foster care stipend as a child, living on your own if you have a job, if you go into the trades, or if you go to school, like you said, TMCC, and TMCC will pay for you to go through school. The issue is many foster kids get to the point of 18, emancipation, and they're like, government, stay away from me. Government hasn't been a solution for me. I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. And so finding those kids who are falling through the cracks, finding them housing, finding them community, we're trying to see what we can do to get kids housed as well. So it's an all hands on deck situation. And while I talk with a lot of passion about the CARES campus, because I feel very prideful about what we've done at Washoe County to support people who are living on the street, we also are serving so many other people and so many vulnerable people in our community. And it's not just our homeless. You're right. It's also our foster families. It's also our adoption families. It's also our seniors. And it's also people navigating their way through the courts. I'll tell you, if you get in trouble, it's really hard to understand how you go navigate that system. I've asked the Human Services Agency, can we get some caseworkers just for adults? Because we have senior caseworkers, we have homeless folks, or caseworkers for homeless people, we have caseworkers for foster kids and adopted kids, but we don't have caseworkers for people that are just in the cracks that don't know how to navigate these really difficult situations to get themselves back on track. And so, yes, we have to meet everyone where they're at and continually to build that boat. But I really believe that we're doing it at Washoe County, and my eye's on the prize. I feel like our job is, we're the quality of life organization, government organization to support these vulnerable people, and also make sure all of you are successful. Make sure that you have outdoor recreation. Make sure you can go to a library. Make sure you love living in Washoe County. So it's a balance of all those concerns, but that's what I bring to the job every day. So thank you.
All right, so she's gonna go, and we're supposed to be out of here. And, you know, if you wanna stay and answer these two people's questions, but,
Thank you, honey.
I'm sorry, my dog was scheduled to have surgery this morning about 2 months ago, and we were gonna actually do this at 2 o'clock, and then Alexis's schedule got so ugly, she wasn't able to do it, so my vet is gonna close at 6, and if I don't get there, my doggy who had surgery today is gonna be locked in overnight, and I can't allow that to happen, so I must go. But let me quickly tell you, in closing, that the CARES campus existed not at all when I was with the county. It belonged to the city of Reno. But what did exist was It's Our Place. And that's where the Crossroads program is. And that was started by Amber Howell, backed by the commissioners, the full board commissioners. We worked hard to put that on. It's a good program, it's an important program, and it benefits all of us by pulling a lot of the homeless off the street and putting women in programs where they can train and support their families. So having said that, Alexis, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna leave it to you, and I am gonna go rescue my puppy. See you guys.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I just have a really quick question.
Go ahead.
It's not as elongated as everybody else. About a year ago, there was talk about senior meals. And there was, Commissioner Clark went out to Dayton to look at ways to make better meals, more efficiency. And my husband gets Wheels on Meals, which is like a roach coach and saran wrap that has hideous food that for people who have choppers, they can't eat the food because it's broccoli stems. Now, there was also a presentation a few months back that the sheriff's office said, hey, we can do in-house for $1.36 a meal versus $4 for the seniors. Seniors, $4, okay. Washoe County inmates, $1.36. But since I'm 57, I pay $2 if I want to eat a Roach Coach meal at the Ninth Center or Cold Springs locations. When Trio goes up for renewal, will it go back to Catholic Charities? Is there any consideration for better efficiency meals or quality of meals and efficiency?
The contract for the senior meals is not with Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities does the CARES campus, but I know that that's something that staff is looking at, and we were really impressed with the meals that are prepared at the jail in-house, and so that's the discussion that's being had. This commission has invested more in the senior center as far as capital than we have in a very, very long time, and they're looking to do a major refresh in there. I think we're about at phase 2 now. The carpeting is down, so or carpeting is done in that area. So I think that there's some ideas of what could be run out of there. But certainly, I'm open to all things, and I'm sorry that it's not a good meal for your husband.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
And I've heard that quite a bit. So you,
When you can't chair a meeting, why do you cancel a meeting and not let your vice chair chair the meeting? That's what they're
We
there
don't
for.
cancel the meetings because I can't chair.
You have.
No, sir. I'm sorry, that's not accurate.
Why did they cancel next Tuesday?
There was nothing on the agenda. The staff were like, Alexis, we don't have anything. We've got stuff for the next month or the next week, so can we take a break and not have it? And I said, sure. So I don't see the point of having a meeting if you don't have a packed agenda, so we'll be.
Well, you've kept
doing
the
that
agenda
next
stuff from Mike and Jeannie. I'm guessing there's a ton of things that we could put on it. And I've
Jeannie
asked for 1,000 things.
Commissioner Herman, Vice Chair Herman is invited to every agenda review, so she has an opportunity to have her voice heard.
So why does Mr. Clark always complain about not being able to put anything on the
You have
agenda?
to talk to him.
let's say, you want to say a few words to wrap it up, and then we want to say thank you to her for coming. And I know some of you have grievances. You can take it up with her afterward. I apologize. So, thank you for coming, though.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come down and listen to a candidate forum. This is an amazing turnout. So I hope this interest shows an amazing turnout when we go out and vote in elections. I hope you heard today my true joy in serving you and how hard I work for you every day to make this the most livable county for all of us. And I really believe that we can get there. We're on the national stage for many reasons, and many of the reasons is because of what we're doing at Washoe County. I'm very proud of it. So I hope to have your support, and I look forward to seeing many of you at county commission meetings, and we'll just continue the discussion. Thank you for coming out and being engaged in your civic duty, and go out there and vote. We'll get ballots next week.
Alexis, don't there are brochures up on the front table for both candidates.
And I just want you to know.
Alexis, you're not allowed to leave.
No, you don't know shit. Yes, you do, because I watched you. I don't
Consent to filming.
I don't need your consent. Welcome to Disneyland.
Okay. Yeah, the contract's coming up, so it's a great opportunity. Yeah, I mean, you can also send me an email next week or get you the details.
And there has been no activity on it, so I'm here with her now, and I'm informed her not to leave, and please, you guys see the rest of
It's true. Oh, well, you are not bad. We're part of this community, so, yeah. We are. Yeah. We love this place. Absolutely.
Been kind of interesting.
was that? Who?
Yeah.
The Randall County Library is under Randall County. I'm sorry? 775. Okay, I placed Alexis Hill, who's here, under a citizen's arrest for Marsha Code 171.126.
It's our requirement.
And, I just told her, not to leave.
Fair enough.
What's that?
We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Good to
It's interesting watching to see what happens.
Yes.
See you later, Cliff.
You ladies need any of these? Right now. She's here to form, and I'm taking her in. I'm not taking her into custody, I'm replacing her under citizen's
This is like the joy
Yeah,
of.
the two gals sitting behind me were rather interesting. They were heckling most of the time,
Yes.
but they didn't want to be on, well, I got a little picture of them.
Yes. They're intriguing. A very similar personality of one else, of another person that's in the room that's running for election.
Indeed.
Since I can't refer to anyone specifically, only as a whole, so,
You guys need any more help?
No, we're all good.
They could be wearing green though.
yes. I guess
Awesome.
they were green with envy, I'm not sure.
I don't know. Oh, Penny Brock showed up.
Like Jeannie said, we have to fight on top of the hill. Yes, she was right.
Nicholas.
Do you need a hand?
See you later. You want me to leave this here too?
Oh, okay, fair enough. All right, and thank you for your service.
Oh,
Because they didn't take her into custody yesterday when I filed.
Oh, it's not that.
In violation of the affidavit.
And do lunch, and then let the seniors stick around, and everybody else will be able to.
Well, they could, yes.
I filed a criminal complaint affidavit at the county commission meeting, placed her under citizen's arrest.
You know,
I gave that to the DA, to her, I gave it to.
It's interesting.
Amazing, thank you.
We had her served yesterday. And he gave the DA a copy of the complaint, the sheriff a copy of the complaint.
Okay.
They're not taking her into custody.
And nobody's taken her into custody. I guess the law, what the law says, when you do a citizen's arrest, is the sheriff, DA, whoever's supposed to take it before a magistrate.
My heart is always.
So there's a process, and I guess they're not doing the process.
Oh,
I haven't read anything about it yet. I'm just going off of what I'm hearing, but
I'm learning all about the Constitution and law today.
it's a good thing to learn about.
Exactly.
I feel like we just need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And we're trying to send this story.
No.
Yeah.
He said he wanted to get the back end.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know. Okay, all right, well, maybe we'll go around.
Yeah, she just said she's
Okay,
coming.
all right,
All right,
cool.
hey, we got it.
Oh, sweet, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Connie.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting this together. Good to see you.
Hey Alexis, thank you for doing this.
Alexis?
My pleasure, thank you.
My whole purpose is just to put it out there and people can
Fair enough, fair enough.
Alexis,
Have a good
you're not
evening,
allowed to
see what they
everyone.
see.
Alexis, you're not allowed to leave. Okay, now we need to add the charge of escape. I filed an affidavit, criminal complaint, it's in the system, case 24-5334. She threatened, the original complaint is, NRS code 207.190 is coercion. It is a crime to threaten to somebody, to remove someone for doing something they have a legal right to do, which she did.
Yeah, so you want that information, and I don't blame you.
We need that information, right? And then.
Okay, after I got done, I,
7 million.
after I got done speaking on
Yeah, you know, whatever it is,
9/16,
not enough.
I walked up and I stood silently,
Yeah.
quietly.
You should come to our
No
senior
disruption,
meeting.
no moving
and
my
talk.
hands,
We
no
meet
yelling or
3
anything
o'clock,
at the barrier wall
Wednesday.
in the
That's at the
chambers for the county
Yeah,
commission. She simply did not like me standing there. I did not do that
You
to
can always
intimidate
Zoom
them. I
so
was
you don't
not
have to
doing
come.
anything
Oh, I don't
aggressive.
mind
I was
coming.
not interfering
Okay.
with their business.
I'm just,
I
I'm
have
just.
dozens and dozens of
Penny?
people.
You know what
And you recording?
Yeah, I'm watching
I hear
Nicholas.
the meals are terrible, and
You're-
I had,
it's a live
I
stream,
attended one of
too.
those breakfasts, and I couldn't.
So
I just wanted to.
Here, I can- Hey, Nicholas, stay on the camera.
Stand where I cannot stand in a county commission meeting.
I'm trying to
That wasn't true, so she called 911. I called 911 at the same time and had her, and told them I was playing senior under citizen arrest. So deputies showed up. They eventually came to me and told me that they were gonna give me another chance to leave peacefully, which I wasn't doing anything peacefully. If I did not leave, they were going to arrest me for trespassing. That confirms the violation of NRS Code 207.190, coercion, threatening to physically remove me from a place I was then, not just told I couldn't stand there, but I was not allowed in the meeting anywhere that day, but I could come back the following meeting, which I did yesterday. I don't know, she's walking out the door, I don't know how far she's gotten, she may be in the parking lot.
She came in from the front.
And then are you going to the Trump one tomorrow night, Friday night?
Okay, I have the criminal complaint affidavits signed and notarized here. I can give them to you
Well,
when
the
they
Congress
get.
Trump starts at 5:30, and it starts at 5.
Okay,
But I really want to hear Edward's.
we'll see you then, thank you.
What's going on with the machines? Oh, okay, but,
I was online when she ejected in the last meeting. I'm like, what's going on? I missed the button. So then I caught Drew and I'm like, okay. So
I just placed her in the rush, she left us, now we get to add the charge of escape.
Right.
Now, you can't touch her because it becomes assault and battery. If I take her someplace that she doesn't want to go, that becomes kidnapping. The DA's already threatened me with felony kidnapping when I tried to place someone under citizen's arrest.
But I'll send you the dates.
all this from leaning
On the barrier wall. Yep. That's why I asked.
I'm allowed to see you the front table. That was great.
Yeah, it was great.
Perfect just for you.
She won't let me bring my sign in. She has a sign out. Oh, no, she has a sign out front that says you can't bring in banners, posters or signs. And, we can bring in the little ones, but we can bring that in. I've challenged her on that. And, there's nothing in the First Amendment that says the deputies are, the sheriff, not sheriff, the, Reno PD is on their way.
Cool. I got a bail though, I think, so.
You have time or not?
No, I'm supposed to meet, my gal's gonna meet me here and then we're gonna go
Okay.
do some
Well, it's
chores.
supposed to be there close.
Oh. God bless you, Nicholas. I don't,
That's right.
it's, the system is not working as it should.
I'm his alibi, so now he has an independent person. that-
Well, if they're gonna show up and be here, I can talk, let's see what she's doing. I just gotta meet.
And, dispatch just said they were close. So I should see them
Okay,
here.
yeah, she's heading here, so I can meet her here.
Yeah, they came into the front doors, not the, Drew came in this side and, Alexis came through the front.
Yeah. He said, is she still there? I said, you know, probably know she's still in the parking lot.
We're probably, loading up that table. It took
Well,
20 minutes to assemble it.
And I'm going, I will give her about 2 more signed criminal complaints in my affidavit. So I will give this to the Reno PD.
What do you think they should do?
They should go out and arrest her. Take her into custody, take her to a magistrate, and let them start the process.
Do you think they will?
No?
So how do you get anything to happen even if the law says it?
Well, I just keep, it just keeps widening the net, because when an official knows they've been informed of something that's a crime, Title 18 USC 4 is misprision of felony. It's kind of a strange title, but it means when an official has been made aware of a crime and they do not act on it, they then become complicit. And that's a federal.
Yeah, I
Federal.
can see that.
Did we ever find out why she asked everyone to go in the back last meeting? And why, when, the day that it happened, and she had all the commissioners going in the back, but then Jeannie Herman came on the floor.
Yeah, Jeannie and Mike both did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just their standard. Whenever they call a recess, that's, the
All right.
DA wants them to leave the
So
front
there's
end.
nothing recorded or off.
One, they cut the camera, which is why I have.
Drew.
Drew
So I
there,
recorded
and
that.
I recorded as well, so.
Okay.
Yep.
All good. Well, I'm gonna head out this direction.
Okay.
We'll see what shows up. So here we are. This is the Northtown Library. It's not nearly as cool as the downtown library. So that was an interesting little debate they had there. Appreciate everybody watching, and thanks for tuning in, and I'll do another one here soon. Have a good night.